I'm Russell Quirk and I'm an addict, a Porsche addict, and in particular Porsche 911s. I'm lucky enough to have a few now, so I'm growing a small collection. This is my Rennsport, my 911 Rennsport, which is produced by some guys in the Cotswolds, ironically called 911 Rennsport, and it's a Resta mod, it's a backdate. It's similar to the concept of the Singer, the Theon, the Paul Stevens kind of Resta mod, the reimagined by type 911s that we're seeing more and more and more of now. Came across Rennsport almost kind of by accident really, and went to see Paul Cockle, who is the Porsche obsessive, I think it's fair to say. He'll take predominantly either a 911 SC or a 3.2 Carrera, potentially a 964, as do Singer, Theon and other companies, and will effectively, yes, backdate it but improve it and turn it into what you see here, which is the best of all worlds. I truly believe if Porsche was still making air-cooled 911s now, it is the car that Porsche would try to make these days, even though obviously the 911 has gone off into a very different direction. Obviously they're water-cooled, they're bigger, lots of driver aids and so on. Frankly, some of us don't want all that. You know, we don't want ABS, electronic power steering, stability control, traction control, and a car with 800 brake horsepower that kind of is point and squirt from one corner to the next. This car, as with all older 911s and indeed Singers, Theons and so on, is rawer. Why 911? Why Porsche? Well, it probably goes back to, I suppose as it does with most of us really, back to being a kid and occasionally on the street seeing a 911 parked or a 911 go past, and also occasionally seeing a 911 in the movies, and one in particular which is probably not the greatest movie ever created by Hollywood, but Condor Man with Michael Crawford. One part of the film, which goes on for quite a while, is a car chase, and Michael Crawford is chased by a load of baddies, and they're all in black 930 911 turbos. I was absolutely captivated by the form and the, I suppose, the perceived performance and the noise and the kind of ambience of the 911 in that movie. There's something else about the Porsche thing over and above, or maybe as well as the cars themselves, and that is the people, the community, which is a pretty significant thing really. There's an explosion, I think, really, particularly as, you know, the 911 has just celebrated its 60th year, Porsche itself has just celebrated its 75th birthday. There's almost during the summer, every weekend, every other weekend certainly, there seems to be a Porsche event one way or the other. I'm a member of all sorts of different things on social media around driving your car, you know, the whole kind of driven, not hidden thing, which is certainly one of the subculture bylines of the Porsche world. You know, you don't buy these things just to sit them under a cover in the corner of a garage for years and years and years. You know, the majority of people seem to buy a Porsche to enjoy it, to drive it, not just to own it. And I think that's where Porsche is very different to perhaps the Ferrari, the Lamborghini type community, where it's about seeing the cars, it's about driving the cars, admiring them and talking about them as part of a kind of fellowship, I suppose you'd call it, part of the community. I love it, I really do. When I was first able to afford a 911 about 4 or 5 years ago, inevitably an older one, so that was still is a 3.2 Carrera Targa. Of course, you need to spend money on those cars here and there. And lo and behold, when I started doing internet searches of where to buy certain things, whether it be replacement parts or an upgrade here and there by way of wheels or a steering wheel or whatever, I came across Design 911, who just happened to be, and obviously they are a large and renowned parts carrier for the Porsche product. They just happened to be a mile up the road from where I live in Essex, so that was quite the coincidence. So I wandered over there one Saturday, very naively thinking that everyone's open all of the time. And actually, even though they were technically closed, there was a guy inside, and he came to the door, let me in, and he said to me, I recognise you. And I said, yeah, I recognise you too. Turns out the guy there that runs their consumer parts division, Greg Britcher, I used to work with at Lancaster's in the mid-90s. He was the parts manager, parts director at Lancaster, East London back then. And I guess, look, obviously there was the choice and the convenience of Design 911 being just up the road and happening to stock just about everything that I and certainly anybody would ever need for their car. But as a result of that meeting, really, I guess that was a nice trust and credibility earner from the point of view of me knowing who I was dealing with. So whether it be parts, accessories, upgrades, as I say, they are very much my go-to resource for Porsche parts. They've always got stock, lots and lots of choice, they look after you, and fortunately for me, right on my doorstep.